Develop a fortune state of mind. Time for a date with. Time for a date with. A date with the Dorseys.
Hello, and welcome to yet another date with the Dorseys. I am Dr. Jatan and
Floyd Dorsey.
the fourth.
That's it.
Together we make Dim Darn Dorseys.
Wait, what? Say it again.
Dim Darn Dorseys.
One more time.
I said Dim Darn Dorseys.
We are here.
We are back for yet another date with the Dorseys. Yes, that's right. You've joined Dim Darn Dorseys for a date with the Dorseys. And if it's your first time, as we always say, it will never be your last. But we also want to do a little housekeeping for those of you who are joining us for the first time. And you may be wondering, what is this podcast about? You know, there are a plethora of podcasts out there, and I just happened to stumble upon this gem.
You're in luck.
Yes, you are. Welcome. So here we talk about developing a fortune state of mind. Every time I say developing a fortune state of mind, I imagine myself being able to sing just as well as our jingle. But then I wake up.
Right.
But nevertheless, we encourage our listeners to develop a fortune state of mind. And you may be asking, what do we mean by that? And I'm glad you asked, because we want to be clear to our audience that truly means becoming your best self in various aspects of life, not just with yourself, but with your spouse, with whomever you encounter. And by way of doing that, our topics are typically surrounding one of the 5 pillars that we call the 5 F's, which are family, faith, finance, fitness, and fun.
There we go. Wait. Fun again. Like the jingle. Sing it like the jingle.
Oh, so he gonna put me out there like that. Fun.
I love it.
If you all could just see him pull his index finger up like he was instructing me or, conducting.
That's it.
So I had to get it right that time. But nevertheless, yes, that's what we are all about. So when you come and listen to Date with the Dorseys, you're going to hear 1, 2, or a combination of those 5 F's as we share with you our lived experiences from a professional, from a personal, from a relationship, all of those different aspects of life. But we definitely live by those 5 pillars as well.
Every day.
Yeah.
Never take a moment out. I don't think it's possible for us to remove ourselves from those 5 F's because they're so embedded into the fabrics of our reality. And every day we live it, breathe it, and always looking to improve, to do better in our lives for ourselves as well as others.
Yes, indeed. So hopefully that answered your question as far as what we're about, what our podcast is about. I mean, whether we're speaking at workshops or just, sharing the stage, or here on our podcast, that you're going to get a taste of one of those 5 F's.
That's it.
Creatively so. So thank you all for joining. And hey, before we jump into our topic for today, because you already know it's a hot one.
Sizzling.
It's sizzling. As we say, we got a good one for you today. In honor of Steve Harvey. Nevertheless, you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Dim Darn Dorseys or at Date with the Dorseys. You can also email us at support@fortuneenterprise.com. And again, fortune is spelled IVTUNE, enterprise.com. And if you're wondering, what do you mean IV and you say fortune? Well, Roman numeral 4 is IV, and Mr. Dorsey's part of his name, he is
I am
the 4th.
That's it. So that's for 4.
So listen, if you ever hear, well, you always hear us at the very beginning, we highlight the 4th. So we drop bombs, we drop hints, and all of that along the way. So if you're not paying attention, you just might miss it. But we just threw that one out there so you can connect all the dots. La 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 la. But with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the topic for today. You think we should do that?
Let's do it.
Okay, so we are going to chat about lifting your gift. And you may say, well, what do you mean by lifting your gift? And I'm going to say, you got a lot of questions today. But no, thank you again.
And we're
for
so
asking.
glad. We're so glad you're asking these great questions.
But no, today we're going to talk about lifting the gift. I mean, we talk about so many different topics, but today I think focusing on your gift and what that truly means, how that plays a role in your life for you and for others is key to being successful. So I'm going to pass it right over to Mr. Dorsey to kick us off here one good time.
Yeah. So with the gift, and as we all have received, at least I hope we've all received a gift at some point of our lives. And this particular topic, we really want to unpack the idea of receiving that precious gift, right? And if you think about the moments in your life that you've received a gift, whether if it was a birthday or if it was a just because gift, or maybe it was an anniversary, any different type of occasion, there may have been an exchange of a gift where you have received one. And one of the unique things about receiving a gift that we find is that they're best received when you are somewhat surprised about what the gift is. But I think that even more so that they're received better when you're in a position to receive the gift. And so we'll unpack that a little bit later, but I just want to set the premise for this particular discussion. So one of the first thoughts is when you're receiving a gift, it's certainly challenging to receive a gift that you really don't know what to do with it. Now, I know that some of you may have come across the holidays where you may receive a fruitcake or something to that effect, and you really didn't know what to do because you didn't want to eat it, or you didn't know what to do with that particular gift. But there may be other times where you've gone through life and you received a gift that you just really were not prepared for. And the question is that I'm asking you is, well, what do you do with that gift? Right? What do you do with receiving a gift that you're not prepared for? And so often in life we have experiences, and this gift can come in the form of your own personal experience that may not be something that someone hands you tangibly. It may be advice. It may be an experience you have that you saw as the worst thing that you could have gone through. But there was something precious within that experience that you were able to extrapolate and pull out and utilize as a gift. You were not necessarily prepared for the experience in which the gift came about. However, the gift is so precious, and once you received it, you had time to think about it. Then you were able to really reflect and recognize it was truly a gift.
Wow. That brings me to a very precious thought.
Precious?
Precious. It was just precious. It just made my heart glow because I like the way you mentioned that the gifts could be a surprise, and then it could also be something that's a surprise that you receive well, or one that you're just not quite sure how to receive. And this reminds me of about 10 years ago when I facilitated a surprise party for a special someone, and put all my efforts into it.
Boy.
It was spectaculous. Yes, I said spectaculous. It was derivative and reflective of everything this loved one loved, and so it was a surprise, right? So that loved one, once they were introduced to the surprise, which was a party filled with loved ones, and the loved one shows up, and that loved one is just taken aback so much so that they didn't know how to feel or how to receive the love that was given. Now, I liken it to the fact that some people are so accustomed to giving that it's hard to receive, especially when it's not something that you're actually prepared to receive. And so, though to others it may come off as, oh, that person didn't want it, or that person wasn't surprised, or were they surprised, or, all these questions could come about. But really and truly, it's just that person in their head trying to figure out how to take this all in, how to receive it, how to process it. More so, how do I be now? Because I'm not in the point of having to give or having to, do or be for other people. I just have to just show up and get loved on.
And I can say, whomever this person may be, that they probably are truly in a position that they just wasn't, they were not used to receiving a gift of that magnitude in such a way. Mm-hmm. Very unexpected, very surprising. And most of their time is spent on giving. And so on the other side of that, you have to imagine after you give so much that their reciprocity, right, will certainly kick in. But I think the main point of that is just being open to receiving, making yourself available to receive.
Right.
And not close off those possibilities or those opportunities, because gifts are all around us daily. And if you're not truly opening yourself up and feeling worthy and thankful and appreciative of the gifts that you face daily in every situation and every circumstances, you certainly will be caught off guard and wouldn't know how to truly receive a gift such as a surprise as that was 10 years ago.
Well, I can tell you also mentioned another great point in that elaboration where you say or said that though being such a giver and always accustomed to being the giver and not so much the receiver, you don't expect reciprocity. And I think when we do things sometimes, and I say we because I don't want to say you all that's listening. I don't want to point any fingers, because then there's more fingers pointing back at me.
That's it.
So when we do things, sometimes we do them deep down with an expectation that something else is going to return to us, instead of just doing it out of the kindness of your heart, right?
I just want to give,
right? And when you do that, it's also an underlying expectation that the person or thing that you're giving to is going to be that person or thing that gives back to you as well. So those two things are very they're big distractions, and definitely not the best of reasons to be a giver. Mm-hmm. So when you give, ensure that those gifts that you're giving, as we said, the title is Lift Your Gift. Make sure your gift is a lift to the person that you are offering it to, right? In a way that it comes from my heart, no strings attached. I'm not expecting you to do or give me anything because of this. Should that happen, I don't expect that it's just going to come back from you. It could come back from any other source. But I'll know in the end that what I did was good, and it was from my heart. It was genuine.
And that's truly the reciprocity, to me, is all within that. The fact that I feel good, and it may sound a bit selfish, I feel good about giving, helping, uplifting, and empowering others to give those gifts. It's a gift to me. And it's rewarding, and it's something that I cherish, so personal. But again, it's really about, again, to each his own. You have to really think about it from that perspective. It's a great lens, Dr. Jatan.
Thank you.
We certainly appreciate that. So one of the next points, and I'd say, I touched on this earlier in the topic, is really having the ability to recognize the gifts. In some of your toughest moments, there is a gift. And I'll tell you, this is a personal experience. This is a little earlier in my career. And I had a manager that was very, very demanding I mean, he was one that wanted the best out of everyone on every occasion, every time, and anything less than excellence would be rejected. And I say that so succinctly in just those words. However, living it out was a whole nother story because this was fairly new to me. I thought at this particular point of my career that I had accomplished things, well enough. I was feeling pretty good about my ability to really deliver on the promise that I was there to do. However, I didn't realize that my expectations versus someone else's expectations could be far different. So me in this situation, I had to make quite a few tweaks, quite a few. And these tweaks really pushed me to go deeper inside of myself, forced me to study more, to learn more, and to enhance my knowledge, skill set, all those intangible tools that are necessary for any thriving professional to continue to be able to progress in their career. I had to do that. And it was one of the first times that after grad school and a lot of other things that I had done, I had really, really had to push myself internally and to really go deep and bring out the best of me. Well, at the time, this was dark. Some dark moments. I don't want to make it sound like it was the worst thing ever, but there was some long nights. It was some early mornings. There were moments to this, and it was very, very. I just say it was some challenging times. But here's the thing: that going through this, what I didn't realize is what I was becoming, and I start to transform my ways of thinking, my way of communicating, my way of delivering on my projects or my assignments. All these things just tend to evolve right before my own eyes, to the point where now this new level of thinking, a new way or approach to it, started to carry over in other aspects of my life. Mm-hmm. And so that whole approach, right, tend to make me want to focus and study and empower and uplift to a level of which I had not previously done until I encountered this experience that I thought it was so tough at that particular moment, that may have been painful, that may have been challenging, but it really, really brought out the best of me. And that was truly the gift. And I sit here now and wonder, how often do we go through tough times, right? And I'm sure this experience probably can't be anywhere compared to some of the darkest moments that are toughest moments or challenging moments or obstacle-filled moments that many of you have faced. But I will really question you and challenge you on the thought that the darker the moment, the more precious the gift. So are you able to dig deep inside of yourself and discover that deep, precious gift that's buried within that moment? For me, it was amazing, but I wonder if others are really challenging themselves to go within to find out truly what's the gift in this situation that I can raise up out of the coal and lift up to shine this perfect, amazing diamond. So, the gift may not necessarily be what you thought it was. And it may come through circumstances, through challenges. But for each one of us, we have to be looking, open, prepared, and always searching, and mostly searching within to bring out that gift.
Okay. Well, I think it's a mic drop moment, and we can probably just shut this thing down.
No, it's more. We just get started.
So I think that all of what you said is inspirational and definitely in alignment with lifting your gift, because you talk about how you dug deep and you probably initially, I don't know if you really said this, but in that experience where you probably were initially resistant. Like,
oh yeah,
I don't really want to deal with this, feel like dealing with this, and even throughout wanting to just say, hey, I just don't want to even do this anymore.
It was discomfort.
Right.
There's a lot of those different
Right.
emotions, right?
But it reminds me of the metamorphosis, right? How the caterpillar was low to the ground, crawling and probably thinking, oh, I can just get stepped on or whatever. But it goes through these processes in order to gain these wings that are so colorful. And at that point, they are even unrecognizable to themselves once they're able to flap those wings and fly away. It's like, why are these people looking at me this way? Oh, wait. And now I realize why. I see. Because I have a different look about me. And I think, not to say that you were at the caterpillar stage, but you were still going through a metamorphosis in that particular part of your experience, your professional experience, right?
Yeah, so building on that, I think it was very, very unique. And to tie it truly to that experience, I had a different look about myself coming out of that, right? However, while I was in it, the very tool or the very ability that it took for me to break out of that cocoon, right, to bust those wings out, was the very thing that I needed to help me fly and to become that butterfly.
Yes.
So all of that was manifesting, I think, into that in that cocoon. I'm sorry, I had to build on that because that was a very key point.
That's exactly what I was getting at. But I thank you for highlighting that piece. Yeah. So, as you were in that cocoon, to your point earlier, when you were telling your story, you were like, I was uncomfortable. This was just long nights, early mornings. It was just a lot of things that you were not accustomed to, ready for, or even willing to accept at the time. But you continued to fight through it. And that was you busting out of that state of feeling bound.
That's it.
And so when you were able to release yourself and stretch yourself out, and next thing you know, instead of arms or legs, it was some beautiful, colorful wings.
There we go. I'm flying now.
You are flying.
Lift up that gift.
Yes, lift it up. There. See how we keep tying that thing back? My voice went high on that one, so that was real good. But I want to also bring about a point of really driving home what gifts are. And if you know me, if you've seen any of my work, I love acronyms, not just because it's cute and all, but because it helps me remember things as well. So I said, you know what, why not apply an acronym to the word gifts?
I'm walking with you.
You walking?
Don't take me too deep in the water, though.
Okay,
I know you'll go.
Whatever.
All right, so, but I'm walking with you.
I won't go too deep.
All right.
So the G is for God-given goods. And God-given goods are truly you. You, that's a gift in itself. And sometimes we negate the fact that we are gifts. Just being, it's a gift.
It is.
Right?
Trust me, it is a precious gift just to be on this side of the living, right?
Right. And then I, inspiration or even interpretation. So when we talk about inspiration, sometimes we need that inspiration, whether it comes internally or externally, in order to realize our gifts or to realize that we are God-given goods. And then being able to interpret those messages as they're coming to us, consciously or self-consciously, whether or not, this is something that we should receive as a gift, acknowledge as a gift, or even the gift of discernment to understand whether we should accept the gift. And then F, faith. Of course, we got to go to faith because we talked about the 5 F's, and faith is one of our 5 F's, right?
Absolutely.
So just having faith in your gift. Again, whether your gift be what we've already mentioned, yourself, the inspiration, or whatever else it is. And then T, we're going to go straight to the easy word, talents. And talents are things that typically you're born with, right? Although we said you're a God-given good as a being, what came with that God-given good, right? What is it that you naturally do that is innate to you, or that is something that you say, oh, that's nothing, I do that easily, while other people look at it and say, oh my goodness,
That's it.
You can do that? And recognizing that, again, just making sure that we interpret those things in a way that it's received not only for us, but for people that are experiencing us. And then finally, S, skill. Obviously, right? Skill is another gift. And these things are typically taught. So whereas we have talents that we're born with, we have skills that we actually have an opportunity to learn.
Yeah.
Which was a great example that you gave in your experience, that, though you were talented already,
I had to learn.
You had to learn that new skill, and you came out better for it.
And so thankful that I did. So thankful for that experience. It was such an amazing gift. One of the things you mentioned as you went through the acronym, and if you could, please, can you cover off on those? Because I thought that was amazing. One more time.
Okay. G is for God-given goods. I is inspiration and interpretation. F is for faith. T is for talents. S is for skills.
And so when I think about those, I'll segue into this next point, is having the maturity to receive gifts is so important, right? And or even as you give gifts to others, is recognizing their level of maturity to properly receive the gifts. And it's important because what you don't want to do is give a 3-year-old a lawnmower, right? The 3-year-old is just not prepared or know anything about a lawnmower, what to do with a lawnmower, and quite frankly, truly doesn't have the wherewithal to even utilize that lawnmower gift that you gave him. So it's recognizing the level of which the receiver of that gift is on, and then administering or giving the gift for them. Now, it may be something that you can stretch them with, maybe a bicycle or something to that effect. Well, it will force them to grow into that gift, but giving them a lawnmower may be too much for them to chew and bite on at that particular point in time. So it's recognizing where we are. And so I really think your level of maturity of receiving gifts will dictate or help understand or help you receive the gifts that are in store for you to receive. Because if my level of maturity is still as of a 3-year-old, then the gifts I may receive may be that of a 3-year-old. But as my level of maturity begins to expand and grow, I am now in position to receive and be in a position to take in more mature gifts, like that lawnmower. I'll give you an example here. This is a story, case in point, where I was very, very young. I think I was literally about 3 years old. And I think it was probably my 3rd birthday.
And you remember this?
I do. Yeah, at this time I had a full-time job, had a wife, had a family, had everything. No, kidding. All right, it's my story, okay? All right, okay. No, so I was 3 years old, and I think it was third, going into the 4th birthday or one or the other. I'll say that. And my dad had this great idea that, hey, why not just give my son a go-kart, right? Now, this is one of those go-karts that, I mean, it was powerful, right? I mean, you tap the gas and it's going. I felt like you were in a Corvette or something like that, right? And so he had this bright idea that this would be the perfect gift to give me at that age. And so, me, not really. I've never had, at that point in time, I had never ridden or driven a go-kart whatsoever, especially anything that was that powerful. So I tell you, I got into that sucker, and I probably almost tore up every car in the parking lot, everything in sight. I'm sure I hit to the point where it was almost where I was going to hurt myself.
Wow.
And I wasn't mature enough to receive that gift. I wasn't ready.
How did you even reach the pedal?
Exactly.
I'm
exactly.
still trying to process that.
I somehow made it work. I'm telling you, it wasn't the right gift for that time, right? And so often we receive gifts from others that we're just not there really ready to receive. But the good thing is, especially if it's advice, we typically can look back on our lives and we can recognize, that's what they were talking about at that time when I was in my 20s or when I was in my 30s. If I would have just really understood it, if I was a little bit more mature to receive that gift, how much more value that would have been for my life. And it's important for those that are giving is to make sure that your gift is fitting for the stage and for the level that the person's on. So, lesson learned here, don't buy a 3-year-old go-kart.
Yeah.
Now, to close out that story, my dad soon learned that, I think after about 24 hours, hey, let me take this thing back, right, and get him a tricycle to ride on for a while. I think it was like a bike with training wheels or something to that effect. It's one of those small bikes with training wheels. That was more fitting for me, and I appreciated it, and I was able to really utilize that gift.
That's good. But also funny. Because I'm still trying to imagine you being able to reach the pedal and the steering wheel. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That was full of danger. So we're glad to have you here with us today. After that experience.
We made it.
But you also made the point of, not buying a child a lawnmower. And if you think about it as well, though we know that child at the age that 3 years old or whatever would not be receptive of a lawnmower, we could perhaps buy them a toy lawnmower and prepare them and start conditioning them to understand what this is, how it's used, even if it's pretend, right?
That's it.
Because you're conditioning, say for instance, a little boy, you're conditioning him to understand that this is what men do. We mow lawns, right?
Right.
So, to your point, of course, we don't want to give a child an actual lawnmower, but if that's something that we want to condition,
there are stages.
Exactly. So even as adults, there are things that you may not be ready to chew on. You may still need a little milk on, but you can get something along those lines to gradually build you up the stamina to receive that bigger gift.
Preparing for the gift. I think this thought takes me into the dose of Dorseys.
Okay.
And it's truly about preparing.
By the way, dose of Dorseys today, we're going to say this is our parting gift.
This is our parting gift. Preparing for the gift. So, and as you all probably have caught on now, I tell stories because I like to really drive home my points through the storytelling. It really works
and
for
he
me.
likes to entertain me too.
Of course. So it was one Saturday afternoon when a father talked to his 15-year-old son. His 15-year-old son had a birthday that was coming up. He told his son, hey, I got a precious gift for you, but it's not going to come easy, but it's truly going to be something worth your while, and you would really, I want you to have it. So what the father did is said, but hey, here's the thing. There's a few things that we're going to have to do. One of the first things I want you to do is help me restore this old Corvette that I have out back that you've been seeing sitting out there. I really, really need you to help me restore that. And to the son's surprise, he was thinking, I'm just going to get a gift, but now I have to do all this and to do that? Why? What's the point of all that? But okay, Dad, if you want me to do the work, I'll just do the work. Oh, boy. And so the father, he kind of chuckled to himself, recognizing that what he really had in store for his son, at the time, he wasn't ready to receive. And so it took the first Saturday. They went out and bought all the parts that were necessary. They began to prepare the car, prepare the parts, and start to take different parts away, and it took some time to do that. So about 5 weeks later, it's another Saturday. Now the son, he's spending hour after hour on his weekend when he could have his time with his friends or playing his sports or doing all the types of things that a typical 15, 16-year-old would do at that time. He was being deprived of those type of adventures. So about the 12th weekend in a row of doing this activity. I mean, really restoring it. And what was amazing is that throughout this time, he and the father and son had an amazing opportunity to bond like never before. But it was more surprising on what they were able to accomplish together. How they took their time, how they put the love and care into really restoring this old Corvette to where it was pristine and looked almost brand new, like it was coming off the showroom floor. And at the end, once it was all said and done, the father, he looked over at the son and said, "Son, I'm very proud of you. You did a phenomenal job. And I know you were really slow at the beginning of really wanting to do this. And I know the sacrifices you made to put this work in for me and with me to really restore this car. But truly, son, I say, this car is for you." And he handed him the keys. And so the son was very shocked and surprised and taken back and didn't really know what to say at this particular point. But the father really wanted to explain to him. He said, "If I would have just given you the car, or I could have gone out and purchased you a car. But I don't think you really would have appreciated and knew the true value of the gift that you were about to receive. However, having you do the work, put in the hours, make the sacrifices, you not only will appreciate the gift, but another thing more importantly you're going to appreciate is the time we spent preparing this gift. So at every given moment, when you see and understand and know throughout your life how things may not necessarily look pretty, you'll know that once you put into the work into it, that you can truly turn what may look bad, may look ugly, into a precious jewel that you can treasure forever." And that was the son receiving the gift through the experience that the father prepared for him, ensuring that he was able to receive it. That's the dose. Close out, queen.
That was great. So you appreciate it more when you put that work in. Love it. So this has been yet another date with the Dorseys. Thank you all for tuning in. Again, today's topic was lift your gift.
Lift it up.
Lift it up higher and higher. And we talked about some awesome things. So make sure that if you didn't catch it from the beginning, that you do just that. You don't want to miss a piece of this. But if you're wondering how you can connect with us, you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Dem Darn Dorseys or at Date with the Dorseys. You can also email us at support@fortuneenterprise.com. Again, Fortune is spelled IVTUNE, enterprise.com. We'd love to hear from you. Make sure that you are sharing, downloading, liking, loving, all that good stuff, so we know that you're out there and you're loving what we are giving to you all, because we give from the heart. That's our gift to you.
It's our gift.
Alrighty, so we will chat with you on the next episode. Bye for now.
Bye.
Develop a fortune state of mind. Time for a date with. A date with the Dorseys.